Alright boys, we are back. UFC 324. I'm going to get this a week early, so there's nothing really else to say. I'm going to have it up, I'm going to have it done. Last year I don't really know how we done, to be honest, on the lock. I ain't going to go do the maths, I'm really not that arse. But I am going to bring in something kind of interesting this year. So there's going to be weekly forfeits if I get them wrong. So I'm not just sitting there kind of saying them and flapping gums for no reason. If I do get them wrong, we'll do a weekly challenge. And there will be a big challenge at the end of the year to where I am probably thinking about it. Either going to get a tattoo on my thigh, one part of my leg or my foot of a UFC fighter I either hate or something that the top comment comes up with. You help me with ideas, something appropriate. But I am going to go get a big challenge at the end of the year, a big forfeit if we do mess this up. But this week's forfeit I'm going to keep it kind of easy, just do like a Carolina Reaper. Nothing really that serious, I'm going to die for a few minutes. But anyways, I'm not going to waste too much time. We are on the most pointless title fight in UFC history. In my opinion here, I do think that they're giving Paddy the Conor McGregor treatment, but I am going to make a separate video on that. I'm going to fully break that down, so I'm not going to talk really much about the main event here at all. I'm going to get down to the lock of the week, and we're going to move ahead to the lock of the week.
Michael the Menace Johnson!
So yes lads, this week's lock of the week is going to be Michael the Menace Johnson. Now I actually think Michael Johnson has had one of the better years in recent UFC. I think that it's a feel good story for a kind of a veteran who's gotten back into the top. It's 50-50 whenever he fights anyone, and he's definitely showing that with his then Huber win. He beat Otto Osman with a nice finish. He has gone on to be there's Flowers, which isn't a great win, but again, it's a rebound sort of stuff. It's fair enough to see Michael Johnson get it back. At 7-5, he's fighting Anthony Hernandez. He's an inch taller than the man. He also has an inch in reach. It's Southpaw versus Orthodox. 4.28 strikes to 4.31 landed. Striking actually is about 39 to 40% from both them, and then obviously Anthony Hernandez takes the longer and absorbs more strikes at 4.5 to 3.7. Their takedowns are pretty much the same. Michael Johnson's 81%. Last time I think Michael Johnson was taken down a fight was in 2021. Yeah, he got taken out 3 times by Clay Guida in 2021 with a few sub attempts. Anthony Hernandez is not someone who really tries to take people down. He done it in his Cartalabo fight, which looking at it in my own opinion, the split was probably a bit more fair than unanimous. Cartalabo had his moments. He landed more on the feet. He had more sub attempts. It's a weird one. I understand Anthony Hernandez has finished his last 2 fights. He's finished Chase Hooper and Diego Ferreira, and that's where this Michael Johnson one has come from. Personally, to me, I'm picking Michael Johnson at 7-5 because I believe that Michael Johnson has the faster hands here. It's strange to see a 40-year-old with such quick hands. I think he's able to keep it on the range, especially kind of like the Zell Hooper fight. I think he's able to stay on the outside, grind this out for a pretty veteran 15 minutes, able to land the bigger strikes. If they do come inside, I can see Michael Johnson being able to land and being able to finish the fight pretty easily. I can see Michael Johnson being able to take this fight pretty comfortably, and yeah, if it does go into defeat, I think he knocks him out. I think I'm going to take him a 7-5. I don't think there's going to be too much more said here. I think I'm just going to take Michael Johnson. We'll move down to the favourites. Okay lads, so here we are in this week's favourites. We'll start with Cameron Sunderman, who's fighting Ricky Trejos. Now this one is a bit of a weird one to me because Ricky Trejos is obviously on a 2-fight losing streak. The height advantage in the reach comes to Ricky Trejos. He's 4 years younger is Salomon. You come in here with 40% to 37 on strike and action from both the boys. It's a loss to Brandon Sombay and Rosas Jr. He's lost to Ricky Simone and Sveen Saidi. He's beaten Jake Hadley, and his only recent wins are Naveed and Hanston. Personally speaking, I just think Cameron's Sunderman here is just a better striker. I think Ricky Trejos has kind of proven that he's not really up for much of a scrap anymore against a lot of people. He does still get a few takedowns, but he gets knocked down in quite a few of his fights against people who actually have power. I think Cameron Sunderman is someone to be able to knock him down and just be able to just kind of dominate the fight, not really putting too much of a performance, a 15-minute slog, I'd say. But I do feel Cameron Sunderman's able to take it on the feet and be able to control the fight. We'll move into Josh Hawkins. Now, Josh Hawkins I'm going with because, personally speaking, I don't think Denzel Freeman is very good. His first fight against Marsum Beluza or Budzilla, was not very good. It was just kind of a bit of a slug heavyweight. I think that Josh Hoggett's superior wrestling and athleticism in the lower brackets of the heavyweight division will be able to help him in the lower ranks. You'll probably see 5 or 6 takedowns here, pretty early finish or submission, because again, Josh Hoggett is just able to outwork people. He has the athleticism, he has the cardio. There's nothing really else to say. I don't really give Denzel Freeman much of a chance here. I thought his first fight was pretty poor. I said Josh Hoggett probably takes this in probably the first round or two. I won't really say too much else. Next move, then, Natia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. Now again, I'm going over here for decisions because, personally speaking, Rose and Natia, I honestly think the last time Rose was finished in MMA was in 2019, and I am looking up Tapology because I think the last finish from Natia Silva was before she made the top echelon of the division. Once she got to the top fighter, she kind of lost it. It was... Natia Silva's last finish was in 2023 against Victoria Lenido, and Rose Namajunas' last finish or stoppage lost was in 2021 when she head kicked Zhang. So yeah, I don't see this being any other difference. The height and everything. Honestly, who the fuck cares? I'm not gonna look at it. It's 15 minutes slug. This is gonna be just a 15-minute boredom session, a piss break, a shit break. Doesn't really matter. Go get the drinks, go get the beer, whatever. This is going to be over 2.5, simple as that. Get the pints in. No need to watch this fight. I'm going to go for Energy Charles Johnson to end it off. Charles Johnson is probably one of the more interesting fighters to really come out of this sort of card, because again, he has losses to the likes of Razum Tomiyov, but then he takes out Lorna Kavanagh, Josh Van, Jake Hadley. He just loses to the likes of Cody Durden and Odie Osborne in fights you just don't understand. Like Rafael Aziz is able to beat him. He takes out Zulan Zagulam. He just loses strange fights, and that's just what I'm going to say here. But personally, to me, I think Alex Perez, he obviously has a very, very weak submission game, but I also can see him getting finished here by the likes of Charles Energy Johnson. I think Johnson is probably the more athletic fighter between the two of them. If we look at it, it's a 5-inch reach advantage for Johnson. He's 3 inches taller, has the longer fight time. He is older by a year. He lands more strikes. His takedown defense at 66% is pretty decent. I don't really think the grappling by Perez is going to be that big. I think Johnson's able to light him up in the feet in the first five, maybe 7.5 minutes, and he's just able to take a pretty easy decision. I think he goes 1 or 2 rounds up, and then that's kind of just how it goes. We will move into the underdogs. And yeah, I'm getting through this kind of fast because, to be honest, there's not really a lot for me to talk about in the favourites aspect, but in the underdogs I do want to actually have a good chat about this. So Son Yadong versus Sean O'Malley. Personally speaking, I've not really liked what I've heard from Sean O'Malley recently, and a lot of his comments on the podcast of him saying that he's fallen off. I understand it's a gimmick or whatever, but when you're saying that you're falling off just because you're moving down the card, because to be fair, the interest isn't really there to you, it's not the greatest look to say, oh, I'm falling off. He does get the co-main because Amanda Nunes fell out. Kayla Harrison actually went out of that fight, not Amanda Nunes. That fight fell through, so of course the UFC with their Sean O'Malley hype train have to give Sean O'Malley the chance. Whoop-de-doo. But look, personally speaking, I'm not sure he's coming in the right mental head game here, because Son Yadong has always been a very good fighter. He's always stayed inside this division. He's only lost to Petr Yan, Corey Sandhagen, the two top over the last 5 years. They're really the only people he's actually lost to. Okay, yeah, he doesn't have many names on his resume, I will give that. Like Marlon Moraes, not great. Ricky Simone, Chris Gutierrez. The Henry Cejudo performance was really, really good, besides the cut to stop the fight. But if we're looking at it, Sean O'Malley, who has he fought? Like, if you take away the Merab fights and the Aljamain Sterling and Deanne robbery, realistically speaking, he has also fought no one. That Merlin Vera one was just set up so they can make a trilogy. He's had 4 title fights. Never in my life would I ever expect Sean O'Malley to have gotten 4 title fights, especially 2 rematches against Merab. I don't think he's coming in here in the right headspace. I genuinely believe that Son Yadong is going to be able to outwork him inside this fight, be able to take him down. and just be able to control him, the same as Maraba's done. I think a lot of people give Sean O'Malley a bit too much credit on defeat, to be personally honest. I think it's one of those things where he has all the range and he should be able to stop shots. He just doesn't ever really put the 2 and 2 together. And honestly speaking, I think this is the sort of one where he gets in his own head. I think Son Yadong's able to outwork him that night, able to take a 15 minutes. And honestly, I think we might see Sean O'Malley drop down the card a lot. Like maybe even, lower on the main card. I don't see him really fighting for a belt again. If he does win this, the UFC will probably run O'Malley Yan 2. Again, I still think O'Malley lost that fight, simply as that. But yeah, we're going to go with the Kung Fu Kid. Next we move into Waldo Acosta. Now, okay, this one is a bit sad for me, to be honest. I love Derek Lewis. If you watch this channel, if you follow most of my tips, you know I love Derek Lewis. I just have to be realistic here that this bet for Waldo Acosta is not 7-4. I forgot to put it in, but it's under 1.5 and Waldo Acosta to win by knockout. I have to look at this from a realistic standpoint that even for as much as I love Derek Lewis, he is just a gatekeeper of the division at this point. When it's 6'4" versus 6'3", yes, the reach goes in Derek Lewis's favour, but again, Waldo Acosta's a 5.5 landed hits to 2.5 from Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis does not obviously really have much grappling, neither of them do. Derek Lewis has lost to Almeida, Spivak. He's beaten Torreira, Nasunko, and Rodrigo de Lima. The only losses that Waldo has is to Pavlich and to Rodrigo de Lima, just because he gassed. If you look at it from a realistic standpoint, Waldo Acosta is the sort of man just to be able to win this fight by point jab, and kind of same as Sergey Pavlev did, as he was too scared to really fight Waldo Acosta. Derek Lewis is someone who always kind of takes these fighters into different spurts, but to me, I can see him, like, again, his arm triangle loss to Spivak, his lockout losses to Taito Ivas, Pavlich, Gan finishing them, they're not great looks. And again, I can see Waldo Acosta being able to walk in there and just be able to walk him down. I know Dominican Papi is going to be able to walk him down and unfortunately be able to land a big overhand that finishes him. It's painful for me to say this, but I have to hold the hands up and give you money shouts here. Not go with my head or my heart like I do sometimes. Be realistic. Waldo Acosta should take this a 7-4. That's on Bet365. If you can't find the same odds, I'm sorry, but this is usually the app that I use. Next, move into Nikola Krolovic. Now, Krolovic, to me, I think has been unlucky in his career, personally speaking. I do think that this is a bit crazy. He's the underdog against Bardakauskas. He is 11-9. He's lost to Buzdangovskov and Reyes in his last two. But if you look at this from a realistic standpoint and take this from, an actual realistic standpoint, he's coming against Dominic Reyes, who clearly has everything back on his side. He clearly has all the momentum back in his head to really go for it. He obviously has knockout power, and so does Bogdan Guzgan. To me, I think Bardakauskas has not looked impressive in a lot of his fights. His Katilava fight, I don't think he won that. I personally thought that was a draw. I didn't think he'd done enough and then finished Paul Craig. Yeah, he knocked out Kirkuna and, Pacino, nothing impressive. Lost to Victor Petrino, lost to Kirill Roundtree. He's beaten a lot of the lower talent inside the division. I'm not really sure how beaten again Paul Craig really pushes you into the heavyweight ranks. Personally speaking, don't really understand it, as again he is of course naturally a 105er. He fought Kutilaba at 205. Yeah, I don't, honestly, I don't really know what this fight's going on with. The average fight time from Krylov is 6:34 to 9:11. That's a bit controversial. Krylov has actually landed the more earlier strikes. He lands the bigger strikes. Again, to me, Krylov, I think, can be able to win this by grappling, by being able to take him down. His submission game is very heavy. Bardakauskas is someone who, he's not really taken down too much in a lot of his fights, but I do think once he hits the mat, he is kind of clueless. He looked a bit clueless against Paul Craig in a lot of his sort of fights when he was taken down. I do believe that this is going to be a pretty easy one for Krylov. I think this is a crafty vet being able to take it over a 15-minute span. Wouldn't be surprised if he submits him, to be genuinely honest, but I do think that this is strange odds. Bardakauskas, I don't think, is ready for this position at all. I will take Krylov at 5-4, and then we move into Arnold Allen, which would be the last fighter here, which I think this is crazy, and the only reason he's not the lock is because, personally speaking, I think Michael Johnson has way more of a chance, but I love Arnold Allen. I will give him a chance here at 9-4. Again, I got Gene Silva right earlier throughout the year when he lost to Diego Lopez. I do think he's still a hype product. I think he's all hype. There's nothing really else about the man. I do think he's a good MMA fighter, but again, he has not fought anyone inside the top, real 10 to kind of, I think, warrant this fight. If we look at Jan Silva has fought Bryce Mitchell. Yeah, okay, it was a very, very good submission. Drew Dober, Charles Jordan, Kevin Vadanjos on his debut, Western Wilson. No one good. Diego Lopez kind of exposed that if you're just able to take him down and control him, he isn't a very, very good fighter. I think he was very, very saved inside the first 5 minutes inside that fight. I think Aaron Allen again will show that he's able to crumble a lot of fighters. The same as his Dan Hooker fight, where he got obviously very, very melted in the first 2 minutes, but then he cracked with pressure and will keep pressure going. This is what killed Silva inside the Lopez fight, because Aaron Allen was able to keep the pressure going, so was Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez took him down, kept the pressure going. Yeah, he got cracked a few different times, then he lands a spinning elbow and finishes the fight. Aaron Allen getting the finish here would not surprise me at all. In that 9-4, I think Aaron Allen is the right call. I can't show the Aka inside these now, so I will just have to say that I can't show the Aka, because again, I actually got a warning for YouTube. So if you've seen the Aka, it pays back 40 quid. So that's really all it's going to be. And yeah, if you want to leave any comments to what maybe the main forfeit should be, if you have any more forfeits in mind, I wouldn't mind to hear them. If Michael Johnson loses, we will eat a Carolina Reaper on the next segment. And anyways, if you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button or hit subscribe, and I'll see you next one. Peace.